Hello guys, I'm the Game Surgeon, and today we're going to be designing a game, which I'm pretty excited about, and I can't wait to see how it's going to turn out. I'm calling this the blob game right now, because essentially I think you're going to be a blob, right? And you're going to be trying to eat as many different things as you can, maybe taking in the aspects of the things you eat and using them, and I don't know, that's as far as I got, really. My original idea for this game was deck building. Like, you would have a deck of cards which represented like your mass, right? Because you're just growing and growing. And you would be, every time you eat something, you add it into your deck, right? So if you were to eat, I don't know, a car, then you would add this into your deck of cards. And this shows like how much you are digesting. And then when this card comes back out, you can decide to like use your acid to turn it into more of your matter. Or you could take the components of the car and maybe like use it, like you keep it as a tire, which will help you move really fast. First off, I think you should start out really small. The idea of like the blob in general is that it starts off really small and then it grows and grows and grows and grows until it becomes huge, right? And so we should probably have some incentives to grow bigger. For example, you could eat these, and then the push and pull of the game is, are you going to devour them because that makes you bigger so you can eat better things, or you're going to use them, which lets you upgrade yourself so that you can eat better things. Does that make sense? It's like, when are you going to use this stuff for your own benefit or to grow yourself so you can get future benefits? So I could make this into a game where you're trying to get the best combo you can get, if that makes sense. Like, maybe you're really fast, so yeah, you probably need an enemy of some sort, I'm not really sure. But maybe you're really fast, which lets you avoid all the people. And then you have a card that says, if you're going fast, you also get to eat things on the way. You have another card that says, when you're eating things while you're moving, you get huge benefits or something. And then you like piece together this combo, and everything that doesn't fit with the combo, you just devour. You use your acid to destroy, right? Alright, so in order to create this kind of combo idea though, we need to figure out an enemy that we're fighting, right? Like, why are you moving fast in the first place? Does this give you new options of things you can eat, or does this stop you from bad guys trying to kill you? Does that make sense? Maybe you have different weaknesses, right? Maybe you are easily frozen, which I think has happened to the original blob. So you can eat a combustion engine and use the oil to burn and stop yourself from getting frozen. So you can adapt to maybe how the bad guys are attacking you as well. So then you're adapting to your own strategy and how the bad guys are acting. It'd be cool, kind of. I'm imagining this as a competitive game, right? Where, I don't know, maybe it's the first one to get this massive. Or, ooh, I just had an idea. So what if instead of the first one to be this massive, you aren't sure how massive you need to be to win? So when you're deciding if you're going to devour these things, when do you switch your strategy and say, oh crap, I think that if I, instead of using my combos, if I just turn them all into my mass, then I will win. But if you push that too quickly, then you won't even have a combo there, and so you can't keep running your engine anymore because you already destroyed it in order to have a chance of winning, if that makes sense. So I had this idea before in a different game. Hopefully I don't bleed over some of the ideas from that game because I like to keep my game separate. The idea is you would have different cards in a row, and they would all be face down, right? And these had different numbers below them, like a 5, a 10, a 15, a 20, and a 25, right? And each of our markers starts right here on the 0 one, and as you move up a track, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We also start here, we scoot 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. We reset back to the top, right? And this lets us move forward a card. So now you've moved 5, right? And after you go to this track again, you've moved 10. And this track's how massive you've been, right? But when you get to these cards, you flip them over. So these two, I imagine, are always safe. But as you get to this one, these 4, there are 2 winning cards. So if you are the first one to get this card and you flip it over and it's a winning card, you win. And if not, then you still have to get to 15 in order to have a really good chance of winning. And if not, then whoever gets to 21st wins. So if you think that you could get to 10 first, maybe we'll add another card to make this less like predictable. If you were at 5, right, and you think that if you used your acid to turn all of the stuff inside your engine into mass, then perhaps you have a chance of winning right now. And I think that's a good enough incentive for you to wreck your own engine in order to hope for a win right here. Maybe you do that right before somebody else does, and that will get you ahead as well. But hopefully you can keep yourself enough engine. So there's this weird risk management where you want to destroy your engine as quick as you can to get to the next checkpoint and hope that you won. Or you want to just wait, and if you think everybody else is wasting their time trying to get to a 10 or a 15, then you can have a super powerful engine that will let you rush up all the way to a 25, in which case you've already won no matter what happened. We could have a card that's always out. If we have 2 winning cards, we can have a card that says that's never in the game. That way, if that's the last one card, you could get up to 30, because otherwise this 30 doesn't make any sense, because you would have won the game at a 25 anyway. Alright, so I like this idea. The only problem is it might feel really unfair. Like if you spent your entire game so far trying to create massive and trying to get to 15 and it's not there, you literally like wasted your game. I'm not sure if this is a problem or not, because if you already, we're going to have to play test it to find out. Let's say you spent all of your engine and destroyed yourself just to become the massive 15, right? And it wasn't, this was a blank card and it didn't count. Then, well, crap, you just wasted your entire engine, you have to build it back up. Now, hopefully these are like close enough that you still have a chance to get to 20 before anybody else does, because you've already been on that acceleration path to destroying yourself. So if you have like a couple extra, you could still maybe eat a few things and then just gobble them up just to barely push you over to the next card, which I think is likely. But it still feels pretty terrible when you flip over this card. You spent your entire game just all of a sudden wasted to try to get this card and it's not there anymore. Now, there is a chance that this isn't even a problem at all, because if you suppose you did that, would you feel disappointed that you didn't win? Or would you feel like that was worth a shot? You know what I mean? Maybe you already felt like, well, I kind of already won. It was just lucky. And so I'm not sure. We're going to have to really try this out. And maybe I'm going to have to change how this works. But I think it might actually still be able to work, because you still pushed for that and it happened. So you did succeed in your head. And maybe you're going to count it as a win anyway. We'll see. Alright, now let's actually talk about what you're doing in this game. I kind of like this idea so far. We're trying to create an engine, but we're also trying to eat things in order to win. We're trying to discover, like, push your luck and see how far you're going to try to make your engine and how far you're going to just try to score points. But we need an actual way to play the game. So first off, I was thinking we're going to have more mass, lets you eat bigger objects which have more power or something. Perhaps there's a drawback to mass as well, so just devouring things that you don't want isn't always just a good thing, because right now it just scores you points, and having a benefit and a loss from it might be a good idea. I imagine we could have 4 decks or so. This is kind of like Splendor, if you know what Splendor is. You would have some cards over here, and these have low costs of matter. Perhaps you're paying... Oh, okay, I got it. So maybe you have cards in your hand, and maybe you can spend a turn playing down your cards, or you can pull some of them back from the discard. Maybe you can use combos with this mechanic as well. Maybe you have lots of cards that let you draw cards from the discard, and then a combo that lets you get benefits whenever you draw cards from a discard. So there's lots of combos we can make with this system, which is really exciting. I can't wait to see that we're already building combos within our basic system itself. Alright, so you can play these cards, and then they go in your discard, and then you can draw them back out. And this shows how much matter you have with you at the time. So perhaps these matter cards that are the acidic destruction of the cards you've devoured, maybe these matter cards can be spent to buy some of these cards. So the more matter cards you have, the more you can discard in order to pick up bigger and bigger objects, right? So if you only have 5 matter in your entire deck, there's no way that you can get up to these higher levels. So you spend this matter, and these different things, these different levels are just going to have different costs. So that way you always have something you can eat. It's like you're choosing from a menu, which is kind of awesome because you're a blob eating people, and so I like this idea. So maybe you start off and you can only eat leaves or tiny insects, or maybe we could even do it smaller, like on a molecular level. I mean, that's really, really, really small. But you know, like cells or something. So you got your leaves, your small mammals, which cost like, here, this is supposed to be a rat, but it looks like a leaf. Boop, 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 boop. So this rat with a tail maybe costs 5 matter, but this costs 2 and this costs 1. And then something over here only costs 4, so you're already looking on different levels. And then when you eat this thing, this might give you more matter. Maybe we'll have a like, this is worth 2, and this is worth 1, and this is worth 1 if you devour it using your thing. Maybe you could eat a lot at the same time. If you have just absolute tons of matter in your hand, you could discard 7 to pick up this one, and this one. Now this would be bad because you're clogging up your deck, but if you're able to turn them back into matter by using your acid, maybe that's a good idea. Now, I think when you play these cards, you can decide to either do the effect or discard them to add a matter into your discard. I gotta think of a symbol for this. I'm gonna draw just like a little guy. You can either do this and pull a matter into your deck and trash this thing, or you can do the effect. Alright, I just came up with a crazy idea. So, remember how I said there might be an enemy that we're trying to fight, maybe a void, that kind of thing? What if the more massive you are, perhaps the more massive you are, the more likely they are to fight you. So matter is good because it lets you buy bigger things. And it's good because it lets you win. But it's really bad because it causes the people to fight you back. And this could lead to lots of problems. So that way, when you are running your small engine and all you're doing is eating a whole bunch of tiny things, then you don't even have to worry about the police getting angry because you're just eating like bugs or something. And the people are like, oh yeah, we don't have to worry about that blob. We're worried about the blob that's trying to eat a building over here. Like maybe there's a building over here. And they're trying to eat the building over here, so we're going to attack them. And that maybe your mass is your life points, and so then they're just losing your mass. And when you take something like the building, then you get some rage or something, and this rage will make the people attack you more. And what if there's a landfill card where if you ate it, then the people get less angry at you? I don't know how I'm going to map this. Maybe you're just going to have tokens in front of you, and when all the tokens are removed from a card, oh, this is a good idea. When all the tokens are removed from the card, then whoever has the most to get a big attack. So once you start hitting these things really hard, you'll be taking all of them almost every single time and getting hit really badly. So this is a push and pull from the big mass standpoint. Also, I was thinking about the scoring conditions. So we've got our little store here. You would have different people buying different stuff from the same things, which I like because then, like, if you buy this rat from me, then I can be like, oh no, I was going to buy that rat. And you already have interactions between opponents, which we don't really have in this game yet. We do have this, which is interesting. This could be like the police. You could have different levels of things that are angry at you. Perhaps we could have like some animals who are angry that you killed their prey, and so then they come and attack you, or something else. Some aliens, if you suppose you were eating planets up here, which I don't think is likely, you could just have different places that you're taking aggression from, and then when it all runs out, you get attacked by them. This is interesting too, because if a lot of people are taking from the police, then the police will always be attacking, and so even if you just take a little bit, then you're probably going to get hit by them more often. So the more people taking from the police, exponentially the more people are getting hit from the police. So if only I'm taking from the police, it takes me 5 to just get hit. But if everybody's taking from the police, it might take me an average of 3 to not get hit, to get hit from the police. So that would be interesting as well. Maybe I'm going for like a smaller build, while almost everybody's going for a higher build. So now this is better for me to be going for a smaller build. It's beneficial because everybody else is drawing from the police, so they're all getting hit way more than they normally would be, and I am just fine eating stuff, not being aggressive. Alright, so I think this is good enough, and we should try to lay out exactly what you can do on your turn. So first off, I think you should be able to draw from your discard. Now, I don't know if you get to see them or not. I'm probably going to say you can't see them, so that way you need to find a streamlined deck. Then you can devour, maybe not devour, just like digest is probably a good way of saying it, where you use your acids to make all of the objects you have eaten into your own matter, right? So you turn these objects into the matter cards. Or you can use to let you do the effect of the card immediately, and then this goes back in your discard, and this probably will go back into your discard as well. So I'm going to draw a tiny little X, not a big X because that means trash. So how exactly do we choose how many cards you can play and what you do with these different things? Now, my first idea is that we have it some way correlated with the amount of mass in our hand. And this is a great combo building technique where there's a variable that you increase and that just gives you power over all aspects over yourself. Now, this mass makes sense, right? Because the bigger you are, the just easier it is to do stuff. But maybe we can make it so that the mass also makes it harder for you to use. Maybe this is not correlated with mass, which makes sense thematically. Just because you can move, it just takes so much energy for you to move around now that you're so massive that you can't pull out the wheel you got from the car you ate because it's just stuck inside of you and it's really hard to get back out. So you can only draw according to some other characteristic, some other number. Now I don't have an idea for this number yet, but I like this idea because it simulates you're just growing so much you can't even, like, your system is just so big you can't work with yourself anymore. So digest and use, I mean these are both from your cards from your hand anyway, so maybe you can use up to 1/2 of cards. Now this is interesting because you want to use your powers right now, but you want to keep drawing your discarded cards so that way you can use these cards. This is interesting as well because then you'll have tons of mass cards and you can eat something 1/2 of your size. So you're not just eating a blob that's twice as big as you, if that makes sense. This could be a really cool idea. I don't know if I can do it, but what if you were a blob and you split? And so then you turn into 2 tinier blobs. Kind of like Agario, if you know that video game. And then other blobs, like I am a big lumbering guy and I spend 5 of my turns just drawing from my discard so that I can get enough mass so I can just eat all of your cards. All the cards that are inside this person's deck is now in my deck. And because the mass is a universal card, all the masses that I have can now go into mine. Now this could be really insane. Maybe I'll make this as an expansion where like you have a competitive variant. I don't know if I can do this right now. It would be a lot of extra ideas I'd have to come up with, new combative mechanics, but we'll see. Maybe I can come up with this later, but this would be really fun to just completely eat another person's entire deck, and that would really make you feel like a blob, I imagine. Ooh, so you know those markets we were talking about? I once did this in one game and it was so much fun. What if we had a cost down at the bottom that you could say it costs 2 masses, right? 2 masses to get the top card of the deck that's face down. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 1. But if you flip it over, then actually this one costs 5 masses in order to buy. So you have a discount if you buy it randomly. That probably won't be good for your engine because you don't know what's going to happen. When you look at the market, you say, absolutely, that card will combo with all my other cards. And if you don't like them, you take from the top and you get an amazing card for such low cost. It just might be absolutely terrible for your deck, or it might be awesome. Kind of like in Ticket to Ride, when you draw the top card and it's a wild card, I can imagine that this would be really fun, a really fun gambling mechanic. So you can digest, or you can use, or you can eat. And this spends your cards into the X pile in order to get new cards. So now that we've got everything done that talks about what we're doing on our turn, I think we should focus on the threat of the police people or the humans fighting back against you. Now, I'm starting to think that this might be a little bit too far-fetched for me to try to make, at least right now. Maybe when I start playtesting this, I can come up with new ideas and find an easier way to implement this. But as far as I can tell, this would revamp the entire game so far. So far, I just like you creating your own engine that lets you just do really well. Maybe you have a deck that lets you just absolutely draw all the cards from your discard every single turn. And then there's another card that lets you get extra benefits if you don't have that many cards inside your discard. Or lets you trash cards from your discard and get benefits for that. Or maybe a deck that lets you draw random cards from the top of the deck and then other cards that give you benefits or discounts from the cards from the top of the deck. Maybe there's one that lets you eat something way bigger than you currently can, but you have to lose some of your mask in order to do it. Alright, so I think that's all I'm going to do today. We haven't quite figured out how we're going to make the U win. There's still a little bugs in that, but I like how it's working so far. We figured out how we're going to do the turn order, what you're going to do on your turn, which is pretty spicy as well. I didn't figure out how many cards you're going to draw from your discard, though I can figure that out later. We figured out how you're going to buy new cards, how you can digest new cards. Overall, I'm really excited about how this went. Next video, I'm probably going to figure out all the minutiae, and I'm going to start designing the different strategies you could go for during the game. So stay tuned. I can't wait to see where this game ends up.